Good afternoon, folks. I thought might be a perfect time to make a video since it's actually snowing outside. It's one of those March rain mixed with snow, and so I can't do my St. Patrick's Day shopping for the corned beef and the cabbage. I thought, well, make a video. It'd be a good time to make a video. So I think my topic is going to be neckties. And I got a bunch on the chair behind me. I have a bunch on the table in front of me. It's probably about 100 of them on the table. And I have a whole bunch just off camera, which are the ones I'm going to talk about. And but first, and you can't say this too often, even if you're the kind of fella, be you a young guy or an old guy, even if you never ever wear a suit to work, there are going to come times when you need to have a necktie. One necktie is just not going to do it unless you're almost never wearing a shirt and tie, or a shirt and a tie and a blazer, or a suit and tie. You can't get away with just one. I mean, possibly with 6 or 7, maybe, if you don't use them that much, because you got to remember, there are summer ties, and there are other ties other than summer, and some of them are more appropriate in the fall or the spring. And then there's the weight of the tie. Ties are made out of different materials. They might be silk, but then again they might be wool, they might be knit, and so on. So to get the right tie for your shirt, that could be difficult to do with less than 6 or 7 ties. And I have hundreds of ties. In fact, I couldn't possibly ever make a videotape of all of them because I need an assistant to help me make the video. That's how many of them there are. But right now I'm going to go over summer ties because summer is coming, okay? We're going into the spring. And summer ties are something that every guy should have. You don't want to wear heavy, dark, patterned, whatever tie that would be good in November in the summertime. You look much cooler, you look much better, especially if money's not tight and you have a summer suit or you have summer weight trousers. Maybe you don't. When I was young, I remember the first time I got dressed up, my father had already passed away. He was gone for years. And the first time I really got dressed up, it was really, everything was improvised. I wore one of his jackets, which he had made in England, and which we kept because he had it made and he loved it. So I fished out an old pair of corduroy pants, which were already way out of fashion at that time, and it was a Cali dance in the middle of the winter. But I wore one of my father's summer ties. It was a plaid tie because that's what I had, and I wanted to put a stick pin in the tie, an old stick pin that belonged to one of my mother's uncles, and she says, no, don't overdo it, she says. But that was the first time that I ever got dressed up, and I only had a couple of ties. And I didn't have any nice clothes, and because that's how it was at the time. And I bought some more right after that. I got some nice clothes. So you might be in that same situation. I used to see a guy. He was a brand new lawyer, and he just had one bad blazer and one bad pair of slacks, and I'd see him every day hustling for work. And I was that guy once. I wore a tweed blazer when I was admitted because that's what I had. I gained a lot of weight. I had maybe 3 beautiful suits. I couldn't wear them. They didn't fit. So it doesn't matter. You can always make do. But I suggest you're going to need several ties. And in the summertime, you should wear summer ties because it looks better and it'll go better with the light fabrics you're wearing. And it would be going with the whole theme of the thing. So without further ado, some neckties. Here's a nice one. It's a very classic pattern. blue, white, and yellow in narrow stripes. And it says it's handmade, and it's all silk. My problem is, I don't know who made this tie, but it's certainly a classic with the blue and the yellow and white for the summertime. Here's another one, much more adventurous. Yellow with light blue and orange stripes. And this tie was, this was much more pricey. I don't see the maker's label, but yeah, that was much pricier. And but it's very nice. Now here's a good summer tie. Okay, it's got a lot of khaki in it. You don't have to be garish just because it's the summertime. The problem with this tie, such as it is that it's very light. Summer ties tend to be lighter in color. Lighter in fabric weight rather, as well as light in color. And so because the fabric is thinner, doesn't weigh as much, sometimes it's hard to get a good knot. So here's an example of that. My mom got me this tie, and it came from Old Navy. And I like it because my mom got it for me. The print is pretty. They have good designers over there. But, then again, still Old Navy. And the problem with the tie is that it doesn't have any lining in it, and the fabric is much too light, so you got to be aware of that. I'd wear that with maybe like a light sweater in the summertime if I needed to, and it's a pretty tie. I like it. And this tie, Nick Graham, I don't even know that brand, but it's a little narrow. A little narrow for me because I'm a very big guy. That's another thing you have to remember. If you're a big guy, you want to wear big ties, and if you're a little guy, you want to wear more narrow ties. But I think that's a very pretty print. Here's a tie. It's a summer tie, but it's probably not suitable for work in every situation. You can see the watermelons. And it's cotton. It's a cotton tie, which a lot of summer ties are. And I remember wearing this to the Mississippi picnic. I thought it'd be right on theme years ago. They used to be. I don't know if we still have it. I lived in Mississippi for a little while, going to law school. And there was a Mississippi picnic in Manhattan. I went a couple of times. And I figured I'd wear that. I was the only guy there in a tie. It was a picnic after all. This is from Thomas Pink, and I think it's pretty. And with those little pink flowers, I wouldn't wear that any other time of year. Although maybe I'm a snob. Now here's a narrow one. My mom got it for me. It's polyester, which at the time was what they were selling mostly. Back around 1979, 1980. I think it's a beautiful pattern, and I still do wear it, but it's been through the ringer a few times, if you know what I mean. But I always keep it because my mom got it for me, and just like this tie here, it's another summer tie. This was my dad's tie, and it's made out of a sort of a soft cloth, and it was a designer tie. I don't remember who made it, but I think that's very nice. It's got a lot of texture. It's very soft, and it's some sort of a cotton blend or a cotton linen blend or something, and I think it's nice because it's got that unusual pattern on it. And I'm going to show you one that I don't consider a summer tie at all, but maybe it's my age. That tie is like an ivory white, and it came from a company, I'm going to show you the label, called Bancroft, which was a clothier in New York years ago. I don't know much about the company, but my dad's friend was on Wall Street, and he used to love their clothing. So I borrowed a couple of his ties when I was young, and I like the brand. I'm sentimental that way, and that's the way it is. This tie, it's funny. I got this tie in a place called Conway's. I don't know if they were killed off by the pandemic. Last time I went there, they were closed. This is a brand name. It's a City of London. It's like a jacquard cloth, and it's not English. It's made in China. And it says pure silk. But whenever you buy anything made in China, okay, if it says pure silk, take that with a grain of salt. You're just as likely to find out if you took out a cigarette lighter and burned a part of it that it melts. It might not be silk. But that was a nice brand. Conway was a good store because people went there that I knew mostly for underwear. But everything there was discounted. And they had great ties for a discount. I probably paid $3 for that tie. So remember, you got to go shopping. If you don't go shopping, you're just going to spend through the nose for no reason. Here's another one of my dad's ties. It's one of the few I still have. And that's definitely a summer tie. Plaid, cotton. I think it's very nice. It's the wide tie. If you see, look at the width on that. That was when we were wearing wide ties. And for my size, I can still wear wide ties. That came in the 70s, the wide tie. Before that, the ties were very narrow. And I got all my father's ties, dozens of them, because he couldn't wear them anymore. And you could still wear them if you were a kid, And here's one that is not really a summer tie. You can wear this all year round. This is another polyester one. It's from the bicentennial. And that's how old it is. It's a United States bicentennial tie. And it's got sort of a variation on the Betsy Ross flag with a 76 in there. I'm patriotic. I like it. It brings back good memories. Remember Operation Sail? My Uncle Jack was the operations officer on that. And here's another one. Once again, that's another City of London, so I must have got that in Conway too. And it doesn't, this one really does not feel like silk. So it's probably, just beware anytime you buy anything. I'm avoiding China now for, patriotic reasons. We're buying too much of their cheap crap, and it's going to come to the point where they're going to be the ones that have the industrial base you need to fight a war, and we're going to be, broken down has-beens. Okay, we're very short-sighted dealing with the China of the Cultural Revolution, the post-Cultural Revolution Chinese. Dangerous under any circumstances. And, what can I say? Here's another inexpensive tie. But, as I said, so I avoid China now. I've been doing it at all costs. Here's a tie that also was made in China. See how pervasive it was? And that's from the U.S. Polo Association. They make some nice things. They have some good designers. It's not just a cheap knockoff of Ralph Lauren. Is the quality great? No, but the quality's good, and the design is better. So I saw a friend of mine was just the right size to fit their blazers, because some guys are lucky that way. They match the pattern that's used to make their size, and they're really beautiful jackets. They look like expensive jackets on him. But I mean, if they're still making things in China, I'll never buy anything from them again. And that was an inexpensive tie. I would have bought that at a discount. I would never. The only ties I ever pay retail for are really high-end ties, and they have to be really nice for me to want them. And I bought a bunch of them in Brooks Brothers years ago, but I used to wait for their sales. And I bought one at Bergdorf Goodman's. It was marked down to $45 from I think $175, and it's a great tie. And I was sent by another lawyer, head of a law firm, asked me to go shopping for his wife, and he gave me his credit card, and he wanted me to go to Fortune Off because they had a good return policy. And he told me what he wanted. He showed it to me in the catalog, and he said, check it out. If you think it's good, buy it, and don't worry about the price, which is $5,000. So I bought it. They had to call him up, guaranteed that I was really who I said I was. And I bought his wife that $5,000 bracelet, which was beautiful. And I thought, hell, even though I didn't really spend any money, I did a charge transaction for $5,000. I felt, buy yourself something. So with my own money, cash, I went up to Bergdorf Goodman, and I bought that tie marked down for $45. Beautiful tie. I'll show it to you in another video. And the funny thing is, when you pay cash in Bergdorf Goodman, the cash register's in the back room. Everyone there pays by charge. And, now that, I have a credit card that gives me very good points, so do I. Here's a beauty from J Press. Look at that. That is a beautiful tie. I wear it all year round because sometimes a light colored tie is good, but it is, strictly speaking, a summer tie. If I wear it and it's not the summer, it's because I want that white contrast with something else I'm wearing, and it's also our civic colors. So, I used to be on the guest list for Gracie Mansion. No more. Not since I think de Blasio had me there once. He was running for re-election, so they were being very nice to everybody. But yeah, a city event, I would wear that too. And there it is, J Press. And I always liked it. And it's part linen. That's the beauty of it. It says here 65% linen, 35% silk, made in England. And the English make, generally speaking, good stuff. They have a sort of a class consciousness going there, where people feel if they're in a certain economic bracket or political outlook, they have to dress badly. We don't have that in America. And other people notice. A Canadian friend told me, all you Americans think you're embarrassed millionaires. Well, I don't know about embarrassed, but I'll tell you, I like the best. And the rich people do too, so they tend to have the best. I'm not buying junk so I can be different. My politics are what they are. I don't have to prove it when I put my clothes on. Oh, look at that. This is a nice pink cotton plaid tie. It's sort of like Madras, really. I mean, that might be Madras. You might call that Madras because it's not sort of a rough weave. And certainly that is only for the summer, and it's beautiful. Here's another tie. Hathaway. They were a big American shirt maker years ago, and it was a cotton mill. And I think they were one of the original companies of Berkshire Hathaway. It was the man in the Hathaway shirt. I think, I could be wrong, that later became the investment trust owned by Warren Buffett. And that's like a minty green. Very minty green. So, to me, I could only wear that in the summertime. Parenthetically, my mother was at a wedding, and she got seated at the table with Warren Buffett because she was best buddies with the mother of the groom. Was the mother of the bride? Who remembers? But she was like she was in like Flynn. And all these people wanted to know what was Warren Buffett like. Well, she said he's wearing a blue blazer. He looked like everyone else, and he was good company. That's all she could remember. He was good company. That was about it. And but certainly a good way to dress for a wedding. Blue blazer, and you never want to dress better than the bride. and blazers travel very, very well. Now here's a nice, very crinkly cotton cloth in the red, white, and blue plaid. Very wide. I don't even remember where this came from. So you know what? I bet you that's like from the 70s because of the width. Here's one. Oh, I got this in a thrift shop. I don't even really particularly like it. It's Italian. Too florid for me. I really bought it for my brother, I think. I thought he might need it, but he didn't. And Fubu, for us, by us. There's a black-owned brand, I think. For us, by us, Fubu. Or maybe someone's pulling my leg. But I think that's very classy, very traditional. I don't think it's very high quality. Handmade, okay. 100% silk. That's all it says. I can't get the origin on it. But that is very nice. Those muted grays and silvers go together with the dull blue, and you could wear this in other times of the year. I think if I was wearing like a gray flannel suit, this certainly might do me very well after Labor Day. You know, very certainly, no doubt about it. And then again, in my theme, this is another one of my dad's. Not all summer ties have to be in bright, festive colors. This is a very nice, soft, feels like cotton. "100% cotton." And my dad had a lot of ties, but sadly we don't have them anymore. And here is another one, nice wide tie. This thing must be as old as the hills. I got it on Canal Street, which is where you buy your. There used to be a lot of secondhand clothes there. I remember the auxiliary police used to buy uniforms down there. And a friend of mine got a white tie and tails. And this is from a brand called Pussers in the West Indies. I said that rings a bell. So maybe it's just a regular American tie, or maybe someone brought it back from vacation. I don't know. But it's got a heavy feel. It's very heavy. Very, very heavy. Heavy cotton. It's cotton. Thought it was linen. But, you know, given the motif, I think that is strictly a summer tie. I think it's very nice. I bought it as a curiosity, actually, with a lot of other old ties. And I'd like to look at the ship signal flags, get out my book, and see what it means. You know, that might mean nothing. Charles Truett, okay. Pastel colors. It's very hard to wear pastels after the summertime. So by default, even though it's otherwise a regular tie, you wouldn't wear it. Here's another heavy one. Okay. But it's still, because of the color, it's a summer tie. And this one's ambiguous to me. Rooster. They must have got that in the 80s. This would do equally well in the fall because the colors are so muted. So completely muted. It might do in the fall. Even though it's obviously a summer tie. Another Charles Truett. I must have got these with a batch of shirts. I buy those shirts. And another J Press. Press had a very nice place. So this is linen and silk blend. They had a very nice place right behind Brooks Brothers on 44th Street. It was a full-service men's outfitter. They had everything. They even sold me studs for my detachable collars, which they must have had in stock for ages. They moved a couple of times since then, and it's not what it was. And I feel bad because all those men's clothing salesmen. That's kind of hard, on those guys. That sector is kind of closing up. There's not as many top quality outfitters anymore. They have nice people there. They have beautiful things, and I think, all things considered, you got value. I mean, I always balked at paying $170 for a scarf. Okay, fine, but I still love that scarf. It's a shame. Right in that little neighborhood in New York City, once upon a time, you had FR, Tripler and Company. I have some of their stuff. They went out in the 80s, and someone made a joke. It's where you go to shop if you find Brooks Brothers too racy. Not conservative enough. And they had a great inventory. That was a good store. Just down the street, 2 blocks to the south, was Brooks Brothers. And Brooks Brothers one time was really hot stuff. And then you had J Press behind them, and in that immediate area you had a whole bunch of others, at different times. And then down on 42nd Street you had the granddaddy of them all. Not as old as Brooks Brothers, but in some senses much better, in some ways. And they had their own house style. There were guys who shopped in Rogers Pete, and there were guys who shopped in Brooks Brothers, and those all started to go out of business in the 80s, and Brooks Brothers was the last man standing, and unfortunately for them, they got shopped around, sold a couple of times, and I don't know what to make of what they are now. I don't know yet. But that was a great neighborhood. Brown and King, that was one that went under earlier. Got my confirmation sit there. Beautiful store. And here's another summer tie. I got that one as a gift from a brother attorney. And this one, I don't know how to characterize it. It's too pixelated for me. And now I'm going to turn the camera a little bit to these other ties. And there's many more ties in the other room, and just many more ties on the table. But that's like a representative sample, and most of these other ones aren't summer ties. Last one I want to show you, because I don't use it as a summer tie. It's from Land's End, and I think it's just great. It's like a bandana. I've always been trying to get this in blue, and I've never been able to find it. But so what do I want to say about summer ties? Sometimes they can be a little light in weight. You got to watch that. But other times, of course, in the summertime, that's exactly what you want. And you also want them usually lighter in color, most usually. And you got to remember the whole dimensions of the tie might be different. In the wintertime, you got a skinny old tie you can't wear anymore. Although you can now, skinny ties are back. You say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to wear a vest. But summer ties have their own considerations. They could be garish, but they can also be playful, less serious, more suited to summer clothes, like seersucker, things of this nature. And they certainly give a lot of dimension to your wardrobe. People notice, they're really good, and I think I'm really not that strong in summer ties. I could do with a few more. But you can always do with a few more of anything you love. Okay, so anyway, thanks folks. If you have a question, ask me. I really enjoy making these, and my other choice is I can read somebody's medical records, and I don't really feel like doing that. And the flurries are still coming down. Okay, so thank you, and everyone enjoy the weekend, and have a good St. Patrick's Day next week. Thank you. Bye.